No.
Oh my goodness, Valentine!
No.
Whoa, no!
No.
That is not the shot.
Oh, I know what I'm talking about.
All right, nice. We should be live. Hello?
Hey, YouTube.
Hello? Hey, Ron. Are we live? YouTube, hello?
Yeah, I just got the notification.
All right, there we go. Good.
What
That's
I'm
probably really
following
annoying.
has
Every
been
time
my
someone
favorite.
like starts the replay, which is most of you, it's just me at the beginning. Hello?
Hey, is this thing? So here's
Is
what I
this
do.
thing on?
One of my jobs now at the church is I am in charge of trimming down the stream, and it is very nice to kind of time like the breaths of like when someone says "Amen" at the end of the prayer before our sermon. It's perfect. I have a millennial pause baked into every single live stream now.
Now, Josh, if you were to trim the stream of this show, you would just cut the entire thing. It'd be easy.
It
just
really is.
delete.
So, and you know this as a channel manager, you can just right-click delete permanently, and
Right.
it gives you that, hey, are you sure this is going to go away forever? And
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, please.
Positive, please. Please.
You should have done this automatically. Why are
Yeah,
you
right.
asking?
Yeah. I think I'm good on my side if you guys are.
I'm getting good signal on my end.
Good one, Johnny.
I'm good. I'm just reading the last few tweets. I missed the last couple. And
Yeah, do you see Colin
Sentinel
Cowherd got
yep.
sent out? All right, good, good.
he got sentineled.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
That
I
guy's
can't even
been
make a
on
joke about
a
that.
roll. He's
Yeah.
been on a roll. Oh my gosh.
All right.
He's
Oh, yeah.
good
Can
for
we
a
get off-
laugh. It's
Can we
needed.
get off
Yes,
this
much
quick
yes,
so that
it
I
is.
can, yeah. I'm going to
I'm hitting record.
find a
I'm
way.
recording.
I'll find a way to
I'm
quietly
recording,
record.
and I am good.
All right.
Oh, every time, delete selected. This one. I always forget I have to reset the stream, my
Yeah.
recording from last time.
Same.
Check. There we go. I'm good.
All right.
Welcome to the Fifth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Aaron, Josh, and Johnny.
Welcome to the show. Listeners, viewers, one and all. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it, as always. It is Aaron, Josh, and Johnny. Johnny, we have resurrected from being dead. Johnny, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Got a little bit of a tan
Yeah.
going on with the sun in New Mexico.
I think we're
came
supposed to
back
boo you,
from-
actually, for that. Boo. I mean,
Still February, man.
I mean, Josh and I are glowing, and not in like the way that like, oh, you're glowing, like in the way that like you might be translucent. That I'm currently very
technically
red on
vampires
camera
also
because I
glow.
just came from basketball. But normally you'd look at me and you'd be like, gosh, does he have skin? I can see through it. But good for you, Johnny.
I'm
But
glad
it
you can
doesn't
tan
take
so
much.
easily.
No.
Screw you.
No,
yeah,
it
I was
does
gonna
not.
say, and it's direct sun down there. I mean, there were like no clouds the whole time. Beautiful, New Mexico, West Texas. Visited many of our favorites for college sports. You know, UTEP. I was in El Paso. I was in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Albuquerque, of course. So got to see some of our buddies. I was on the Rio Grande, but unfortunately not near our friends in Brownsville, the Rio Grande Valley, Utergurv, of course.
Utergurv. There's the first
Utergurv.
5 seconds of their alma mater. You're welcome. Well, Johnny, good. I'm glad the trip was good. While Josh and I last week were talking about whatever it was we talked about last week, I would get the notification every day, like Johnny hiked 10 miles or whatever. So good on you, man. That's good. Josh,
Beautiful
what's going on,
mountains.
I'm doing great. I am just so excited. I think I've done 5 things this week.
Oh,
I'm excited to share.
Big week.
Big week. I did 5 things.
all right.
I'd love to publicly say, just because I would love to say the 5 things I've done this week. I picked someone up from the airport.
Oh,
I dropped said person off at the airport.
Two
I
separate things,
wished-
right? You're counting
Two
those
separate
separately.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
two
Yes,
separate.
good.
Exactly. I'm counting this as 2 separate things.
Absolutely.
I wished a friend happy birthday today. I drove to work.
oh, yeah. Big one.
And I think fifth, then I worked.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I did work.
I was hoping it would
Those
be the
last
drive
two are
home.
brutal.
Yeah, that.
Would you like? I can listen if you want me to say six things.
Yeah.
I really feel like I just have to say five. So I kind of like keeping it at five. But I can switch worked to commuted back. Commuted. Interacted with, how do I phrase this well so it sounds more impressive? I interacted
you interact
with
Yep.
In a commuter area of around 7.8 million other commuters. Successfully
Wow.
navigated.
Yes.
Successfully navigated.
LinkedIn post, Josh. LinkedIn it.
There
You
it
got
is.
it. I was
I'm
going to
gonna
say
email that to someone.
you successfully navigated what? How many million people is it?
Up to
Up to as many as.
as many 7.8 million other drivers, commuters.
You interacted with that many million people in society in a vehicular method.
in a vehicular manner, incident free.
Yeah. Yes.
Josh,
Very
I got
good.
bad news for you. You doing this show negates your 5 things. It's over. You're back to 0.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah.
Forgot this was a negative thing.
Yeah.
Not
Sorry.
like negative as in bad, negative as in
negative value.
reversing.
Right.
Negative value, exactly.
Right.
Subtraction.
I got to find a +5 thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, good luck. Yeah, I don't know what's on tonight. Is there any good sporting events? I mean, the Pistons are on. They can win their 7th straight win.
Aaron, are there any good sporting events on tonight?
Well, okay,
There are
good
always
point.
sporting
That was a dumb
events.
question. Thank you, Josh, for calling me out on that.
There's obviously probably some replay of AMMA.
True.
And tonight is the Lakers Mavs pregame. We're pregaming for 24 hours.
That is true.
Hopefully forgets.
That is true. That's what is that tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time, I think.
Yes.
I believe as we're recording at least. So listeners, let us know how that one went. You can comment. By the way, like 2 weeks ago, we're off to a great start. 2 weeks ago on Spotify, I was like, hey guys, you can comment on Spotify. And I looked back and someone had commented on our Olympic episode, which mind you was in late July. And they're like, I'm so excited for the Olympics. And I am now acknowledging that in February. So if you comment, so here's what we're telling you, comment now. And in roughly November, we're really excited to see what you say. So comment now.
Absolutely.
We'll put, I think there's a way to do a Q&A. Future editing Aaron's probably not going to remember to do that. So just comment whatever you want. If it's funny, we'll read it on the show in November. That's our promise
In
to you.
November.
Yeah.
Also, Aaron, how dare you? Utagurv is playing McNeese tonight. Gonna pull off the big Southland upset.
Yes, we need it. Utagurv. Very good. Well, we got a lot of college sports things happening. Of course, it is late February, as I mentioned, so it does mean that the clock is ticking ever closer to the month of March, and that is extremely exciting. By the time our dumb selves sit down to record another episode, there will have been conference tournaments played, and by tournament singular, because it's just the Atlantic Sun. Shout out Atlantic Sun. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But right now, Johnny, you gave us from the grave. You gave us your bracketology last week. There's been some movement because some of the teams on the bubble, cough cough, Ohio State, decided, hey, what if we lose everything?
What if we solve everyone's tension
Yeah,
of whether or not they'll be on the bubble by popping it
ourselves.
before we even buy it? What if self-sabotage
Yeah.
is really underrated?
Yeah. So, Johnny, what are the highlights? That's a low light for us, Ohio State. There's another team that started the season really well that's in free fall.
Yep.
You've had a week to kind of try to digest everything that's happened. It's been a busy week. What are you seeing as far as maybe any movement in top seeds, bubble watch, all that, just general March, here you go vibes?
Yeah. So the good question overall, just tons of movement. There always is over the weekend. So I usually try to digest it, after Thursday, because there's tons of games that happen usually Wednesday and Thursday, and there's tons of games that happen Saturday, Sunday. So I usually update it twice throughout the week. usually everybody's played each game by then. One big movement, Michigan State, that went over Michigan, huge for the Big Ten title race. That's one of the best conference title races in the power conferences going on right now. Definitely keep an eye on them there. So Michigan State has vaulted up for me to the highest 3 seed with potentially more to go as those SEC teams and Big 12 teams kind of take each other out. Michigan State could get as high as a 2 seed to me. So that's one big one there. Overall, with these seeds, I'm very hesitant with my locks. I have 30 locks right now for spots. Remember, there's 68 total. Many of those are reserved still for automatic teams. But we're running low on spots overall. So my cutoff for my last lock, if you will, is UConn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State would be my lowest 3 there. So I know UConn's one of those teams that's kind of in a free-for-all right now, but they have enough done already to make sure that they will at least be in the tournament. Now, that's not obviously that's no stabilization as far as they're going to stay at a seed. I have them as a 7 right now. They could easily still fall. I'm just saying they'll be in the tournament. Good weekend for Oregon. They knocked off Wisconsin. That locked them in. Kansas is in a free-for-all, but they're locked in. They're still fine as well. St. Mary's winning the West Coast Conference regular season title already.
Again.
Beating Gonzaga twice this season.
That's 3 in a row, I think,
Great
right,
job
for St. Mary's?
I believe so. And that's a great season for St. Mary's. They're my highest 6 seed right now. Certainly could go up, but they don't have a lot left schedule-wise to improve. That would just necessitate them not slipping and other teams doing so, which has been happening anyway. But getting to a 5 or 4 seed for St. Mary's would be excellent. Like, that would be one of their highest seeds ever, even when they've won the West Coast Conference. So they've looked great. Moving on to the team that I actually see, here's 2 more teams that I don't think are getting as much press for slipping. Illinois, now at 17-11, 9-9 in conference. Do I expect them to miss the tournament? No, but they are free-falling right now. Duke just took them behind the woodshed in that game this weekend. And then Baylor. Baylor I had as high as a 4 seed just a few weeks ago, and they're in a free-for-all mode too. What had been saving Baylor was no bad losses, and then they lost to Colorado this weekend. So that is a no bueno loss. So they are falling right now. Again, do I expect them to miss the tournament? No, but they're in deep danger of continuing to drop, and I don't have either of those teams, obviously, as a lock right now. More so the bubble, and here's the more fun discussion point. I have UC San Diego now as in the next 4 in, and they're barely even on the bubble at this point for me. Like, they are next 4 in right there. They just need to avoid a devastating loss coming in, like a really terrible loss the rest of the way. They're looking really, really good. They have great stats. They beat Utah State, who's 24-4 in the Mountain West. They're excellent. And so they have control of their conference as well, but their BPI 61, their net is 37. Really, really good stat for them. I know that doesn't mean a lot for everybody. It's just a certain ranking system. So really, I love that. Drake, you don't even see on the bubble because they're in right now too. They're not locked, but I have them in the field. But the rest of my next 4 in, West Virginia, Nebraska, San Diego State, they're just losing the wrong games right now. And then last 4 in is Xavier, Boise State, North Carolina. I was shocked with myself for having them in the field right now. And then Arkansas is my last team in. Texas is my first team out, following VCU, Indiana, and Ohio State is still, because their numbers are so good, because they have 3 outstanding wins. They should be dead, Aaron, and in most situations and years they would be. But Ohio State's not dead because I have no faith in these other teams as well. That's really, it's not so much I like these other teams on the bubble. It's who do I dislike least when it comes to some of these resumes. Next 4 out.
Wait.
TCU,
hang on, Johnny. You said who you like the least. That almost implies that we should just invite everyone in so you don't have to make that decision.
No. That's I would shrink the field by 4 this year if I could.
Yeah.
But next 4 out: TCU, Wake Forest, Oklahoma, Cincinnati. They keep bouncing back and forth. I left Oklahoma for dead, but they finally won a conference game this weekend. Yes, 4-10 in conference. Gross. I want to throw up, but they have some really darn good wins on there. So just once again, and actually I'll mention a few teams that are waiting in the wings that still perhaps could leap up there with a little bit of help and some great wins that are more fun teams. So I'm not going to talk about power teams here. San Francisco, West Coast Conference, not dead yet. Right now, they're my 11th team out. But if they were able to get a second win over St. Mary's, they already beat them once this year. They don't really have bad losses. Their losses are to Bradley, Washington State, and Santa Clara. Like, those are their worst losses. And those aren't really that bad in most situations compared to other teams. Colorado State also not dead, 18-9. You know, they have a nice win over San Diego State. They need some help. They need to, again, all these teams need to vault themselves by winning some big games and probably win out. And then I even have Yale within striking distance at this point. I know everyone's like, an Ivy League school. Yes, but they're 18-6. They have not lost in conference. They are 11-0. And that needs to matter and mean something at some point. They did beat Akron, at least in the non-conference. So I know it's Akron, but Akron's leading the MAC. It's a decent win. So look out for those teams. If all these other bubble teams continue to slip and slide, you know, they could get up there with some help. Yale has the hardest part because they're not going to have a chance to get a marquee win to vault themselves up there. But how I really look at these teams, yes, I look at the stats and stuff, but if you don't have good quality wins, I really ding you for that, because I need you to show that you can win big games, especially if you're in a big conference like a North Carolina, like an Arkansas, like a Texas, because you get more opportunities than the smaller schools. So I need to see that you actually can win some of those games. And then I think I value still conference record more than most bracketologists, just because if you have twice as many losses as victories in your conference record, I have a really hard time including you in the field. You don't have to be quite at 500, but you need to be hanging around there. So that is kind of my formula, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other college basketball things, guys?
Well, you mentioned Kansas. I'm just going to remind people that Kansas was the preseason number 1. And now they have not, well, at least, I probably missed what happened this weekend, but for a long, long time, they had not been able to string back-to-back wins together. They have really fallen apart. There's a lot of blame that I'm seeing Kansas fans, especially on TikTok, throw out there. Hunter Dickinson is subject to a lot of that criticism. I think a lot of it's probably somewhat fair. Some of it is Bill Self can't compete in the NIL era. That might be fair too, although I do have to wonder, like, okay, the roster you got good players, but that's neither here nor there. So there's a lot of Kansas fans that are kind of up in arms, and I get it when you're preseason number 1 and now you're teetering on the edge of falling out of the top 25 altogether. That is... They did. Oh, they did officially. Okay. They did, okay. And it broke the second longest streak in the AP top 25, like current streaks of being ranked. Wow.
And Aaron, half of the AP top 10 in the preseason is unranked right now.
Wow.
That includes aforementioned Baylor and UConn.
Yeah.
So again, those 3 teams will all be in the tournament more likely than not, but they will not be competing for a Final Four, most likely, any of them. And it's changing landscape right now. You know, there's obviously some, with the scandals and allegations with Kansas, it's somewhat warranted when people are like, oh, well, everybody can get paid now. So can Kansas still...
Yeah,
but you're right. Also, they had the talent roster. And those 3 schools specifically are being a little bit propped up by their strength of schedule numbers, their preseason talent rankings. And so that always goes into a lot of these ranking systems. So you have to be careful about not just hoisting a team up there seed wise just because of their talent profile.
Yeah. My last comment, Ohio State dead. Get him out.
Well,
get him out.
Let me tell you why it's not totally. They play USC this week.
Yeah.
And then they play Nebraska and Indiana. So part of it is they can take out their competition in a way
Sure.
on the bubble. Because
won't.
all those teams I even mentioned at the beginning of the next four in, like you see San Diego, and honestly, you could toss them out of the bubble because they shouldn't be there because there's a big thick line between them and West Virginia, and you could clump 10 teams right there together, and one win can move a team 4 or 5 spots depending on the weekend and what the other teams do. So it's very fluid this year. There's a very thin margin between a lot of these schools to where I wouldn't even be surprised if the tournament started today that they'd put Ohio State in, perhaps.
Interesting. Well, speaking of Ohio State, here's my bad attempt at a segue. Ohio State obviously won the national championship. And I realized today, well, really last week, because there's some breaking college football news, I realized that we didn't necessarily like debrief from the college football season because Ohio State won a championship. So our debrief sounded something like, let's go, That was roughly.
I didn't think we needed to debrief. We got to gloat for a year.
Exactly.
I thought that was kind of the deal.
Well, Josh, you're right. You're right. So, yeah, we really didn't debrief. So we didn't really get into the playoff format or like how we felt about it, like seeing it. And I don't think there's necessarily a need to do that, for one, because every show you listen to was already doing that. You at home, the listener, like you haven't, if you're a college football fan, you already have an informed opinion. So you know where I stand especially, and you know where all three of us stand. So we're not really diving into that too much because we saw how it played out, and you can take it or, well, actually you can just take it. There's not really leaving it. It's here. But there's going to be changes, and it's coming soon, and the changes are... They're wild. I'm really going to try. Josh and Johnny are going to have to hold me back. They have to walk me back from the ledge here. I'm really going to try to not be the guy that's like, well, back in my day, the regular season mattered and there was only 2 teams that got in, the computer picked it. I'm going to try to not be that guy, even though that is very much my childhood and some of the most fond college football memories I have. And that's true for us because we're all the same age in our mid-20s. So here's what's happening. This is likely to happen. Well, actually, it's probably just straight up happening. So there's some legitimate reporters who are out here reporting this. So we have likely college football expansion to either 14 or 16 teams, probably as soon as 2026. And I'll also say probably 16 teams, because why go to 14 when you're inevitably going to 16? Here's the kicker, and what I probably hate the most. However this deal worked, because the Big Ten and the SEC conferences bring in the most amount of money, somehow they have some deal with the college football playoff where the Big Ten and the SEC essentially get to decide what format this is going to be. Remember how we have the conference winners getting the first round buys, and I don't think any of us love that particular format, but what's being thrown out there now is that the Big Ten and SEC would receive 4 automatic bids each, and then everyone else kind of fills in. I mean, there's talks like maybe the Big 12 gets 2, maybe the ACC gets 2, maybe Notre Dame gets 1 if they're, above a certain ranking at the end of the year. That's kind of what we're looking at. So that is pretty wild because you have 2 conferences. Look, gone are the days of the Power 4 or Power 5 when the Pac-12 wasn't dead. It's the Power 2. And it really, like it has been, if you're really dialed into college football and media and all that stuff, the kind of the boring, yucky stuff about college football, frankly, that's the way it's been, right? And the Big Ten, clearly the best conference in football, college football this year, really last year. I mean, it's hard to argue with 2 national champions and beating SEC opponents along the way in both of those years. Again, you know my thoughts if you've listened to this show for any amount of time on why I do not like the expanded playoff. One of the biggest reasons was because it was only going to lead to more. And we have more, not this year, but next year. But guys, the Big Ten and the SEC running the show is, if we were pretending like there's parity in college football, we have stopped pretending.
Yeah. Obviously, I echo a lot of Aaron's thoughts. But if I can just the SEC and the Big Ten are in charge now,
Yep.
along with the TV networks. And what Aaron's even saying, why would we go to 14 when we're inevitably going to go to 16? Because that's more inventory. That's more games for them to be able to sell to advertisers. We have, and I've said this before, we have too many people who don't love college football in charge of college football.
Amen.
I mean, that's really as simply as I can put it, you know, and I get frustrated right now with the commissioners of the Big Ten and SEC, but at the same point in time, they're doing their job.
Yep.
They're looking out for their job is to do everything in the best interest of their member institutions. Their job is not to look out for the good of the sport. The problem is we have no one looking out for the good of the sport. Because if we had someone looking out for the good of the sport, we wouldn't have had realignment like we did. Because this is the result of realignment. This is why we hated realignment. Because right now the Big Ten and SEC are able to do this because they're like, well, we're way better than you guys. Look at all the more money we're making. We're the ones responsible for making this money. We're better. We're the only ones who can actually win a national championship. Because it's true. The Big Ten and SEC are the only conferences who can win a national title, except maybe a Clemson, Florida State, Miami type. Obviously not this last year's Florida State, but
Yikes.
You get my drift. With those are the only programs with a capacity to compete with the Big Ten and SEC. And I don't know if I'm going to even be able to say that shortly, just because of the revenue differential with them being in the ACC. And that's where we had balance. Like we had balance in our regionality. And by nationalizing the sport, which is what has happened, we have wrecked any checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was part of the beauty of it. You had Oklahoma and Texas and Nebraska on their own with other quality but smaller programs in the Big 12. You had USC and Oregon by themselves on the West Coast, balanced. In the SEC, you had Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia by themselves in the Southeast. Big East even separated. Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, separate. It balanced out the power. Now you've stacked the deck too much. Like, even just line up these teams against the other conferences. And on any given day, on a Saturday, any Big 12 team could knock off a Big 10 or SEC team. Any ACC team could knock off the Big 10 or SEC, but not consistently.
Yeah.
Like, no way could they consistently do that. The disparity between the Big Ten and SEC is getting closer to the point of the disparity between what the Power Five was with the Group of Five. It's growing, and it's getting closer to that, which is scary. Like, that's not what we grew up with, which is honestly a really bad reason for me to give. But that was, I think people forget, like, we don't, and I say this all the time, I don't want a mini version of the NFL. They're like, well, the NFL does this. I don't care.
Yeah, if you
That's not what
then
I
watch
want.
the NFL.
Exactly. And I said, if I want that, I'll watch the NFL.
Yeah.
I like the subjectivity of college football. I like the irrational arguments. I don't understand why we think at the end of the year, well, one team's mad. Good. Somebody should be mad at the end of the year that they didn't get in. That's the point.
You know how many years
The difference is they're just directing it at the actual people putting them in. But you don't think they're angry in the NFL, those fan bases, when they lose a 4-way tie somehow for the last wild card spot? Of course they're mad. But like the regionality of it, you're breaking it. I don't run into USC fans on a regular basis. I don't run into Oregon fans on a regular basis. Who do I run into? Michigan, Indiana, Penn State. Maybe I'll even run into a Wisconsin, Illinois fan. Who knows? I'm never running into a West Coast team fan base. I've never run into a Maryland or Rutgers fan. It's not going to happen. And that was part of the beauty of the sport. And it's the same. It's been the same in every region. And so, like, with these super conferences, we're losing that.
Yep.
And this is just a full result of, I just see this as a result of conference realignment and something that never should have happened. And we need people who actually love and care about the sport as a whole in charge, I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
No.
But man,
No.
would I absolutely love that to be the case.
We have walked and by we, I mean not us, but the people, Johnny, that you said that are in charge of college football, that just their jobs are to make money, and they are doing a very good job at that. But unfortunately, that's not the job we, the fans, or maybe even the teams for that matter, want them to do. We have walked so far in this direction that there's no coming back from this. What's going to happen is you're going to have more often than not, because the Big Ten and SEC are getting more representation. Sometimes, which I like, the SEC did not deserve 4 teams in the playoff this year. So that alone, like, there's some years where like these conferences and the Big Ten, it's not been that long ago where the Big Ten had some stinker years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that's not even
Absolutely.
necessarily deserved, but they're in charge, so whatever. But when you're going to have this Big Ten SEC, part of this will also be, it sounds like, a Big Ten SEC scheduling, regular season scheduling agreement, because why not? Because apparently that's going to make more money. What you're going to have is the TV
not.
people, the people that are in charge, whose job is to make the most money, are going to see, oh, hey guys, when the Big Ten and the SEC play, that makes more money than any other conference. What if we just did that always? What if we just had the Big Ten? What if we just had the SEC? Folks, I'm telling you this on February 24th, 2025. That is the path we are on. That's the path we're on. And I'm going to try my best. And I say this, and listeners, I'm going to fail at this. I'm going to try my best to not like just complain about this every week, because it's the reality. I can't do anything about it. I can't. So I think that's the path.
We saw this, and maybe more of a microcosm, with the Ohio State Big Noon kickoff. The idea of, it's not a matter of, is it good for the team? Is it good for the environment? They saw there was a specific product that at a specific time slot will bring in a certain number of, viewing units. Like, this is viewers, and you're going to see, okay, we're going to get this household, these households, these demographics. So we as Fox are going to make the prudent move of selecting this team, which we know will get a minimum number of, return on investment to take this. This is unfortunately the math we're dealing with. And I was reading a few of the comments. Josh Pate on Twitter does a good job of breaking this down in a little video. Someone's like, well, how are the other 4 slots or 8 slots if they go up to 16, which again, most likely, will the other slots be automatically barred from SEC or Big Ten involvement? And the frustrating reality of that is probably not guaranteed.
Yeah, sure.
Nice
it could be
to see
4
again.
guaranteed Big Ten, 4 guaranteed SEC, and then at large for the rest of the 8, which could be more SEC and Big Ten.
Maybe the conference winner gets an automatic of the other 2. Like that. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe. And then Notre Dame has to go
Be top 15.
Be top 15 all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Which they will be.
Which they
almost
absolutely-
every single year. Almost every single year.
Yeah.
And the frustration is this kind of even negates, as we were talking earlier, this negates the, selfishly for Big Ten fans, the satisfaction we felt, or maybe really even just the, I'm losing all my good words.
Well, yeah, we felt justified in our yelling, saying the SEC is not as good as all of these, media people are saying, and we were right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
and they had to walk back a lot of what they said.
Yes,
there was an opportunity to be proven correct, though.
Yes,
like where we're not going to be going forward. I have one comment, and then I have a question for you guys, because I'm curious on your thoughts. One comment is, we're not even talking about what this does to conference races. We love Josh Pate. He's one of our favorite college football guys to listen to. You guys should listen to him too. And he also broke down what this probably means for the conference title races, where you could potentially, instead of just having like a 1 versus 2 Big Ten conference title game, the top 2 teams would get those automatic spots like already done at the end of the regular season. And then you'd have 2 play-in games basically if you're the Big Ten or the SEC, where you're how you finish in the Big Ten standings, your 3rd place plays your 6th place team, 4 plays 5. Like, assuming that we're saying it's the 4 at large, 4 automatic bids, excuse me. I hate that.
Yep.
I hate that I think I might hate that more than the 16.
Mm-hmm.
It just, and this is another result of the conference realignment, because you have to do it because it's 18 teams and they don't play each other. Nobody plays each other enough.
Right.
I think, what was it?
So your
like
schedules
Texas
are
A&M?
way different than.
Yeah, Texas A&M played Florida, I think, for the 2nd time or something since they've been in the same conference. It was something like that just this last year. And I'm like, that's absurd. That's not a conference anymore.
Yep.
No.
It's no longer a conference. Okay, so that was my one complaint. But my question for you guys, my one complaint.
By the way, Johnny, for your complaint, guess who would be the 6th seed for the Big Ten? 8 and 5. Well, this is after their bowl game, but 8 and 5, Iowa. Woo!
So Iowa would have been playing Ohio State.
Penn State, technically. Well, you're right.
No, because Penn State and Oregon played.
Yeah,
so
you're
it
right.
would have been-
I'm looking at the after
good
the fact,
Lord.
and they included.
Good Lord.
No, it would be Penn State, because Penn State was 3 because they had 1 loss. Ohio State had, it'd be Penn State. They would have played Penn State in 3 seed. Ohio State would have played Illinois in the 4-5 game. Which, in fairness, if you don't hear us as Buckeye fans saying, "Oh, we're Ohio State, we deserve better." No, if anything, that loss to Michigan should have kept you out of anything, right?
Yeah.
Now we're
Yes.
happy it didn't.
Yes.
We're happy we won the championship. But anyways, sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
Happy. And
My
aware.
question for you guys is, and Josh has mentioned this, not you, Josh Pate has mentioned this too. He's asked
But
it as
you-
a question
Josh
as
too.
well. Yeah.
Him too.
He's asked it as a question, and it's something that I've given a lot of thought about, because we're saying, oh, it's making all this money. It's making all this money. It will make more money. Will it? Like, will
Sure.
it? Will it actually?
Short term.
Because
Is it adding true value?
At what point do you change the product so much in your attempt to cash out on it that you've, pardon my French, bastardized the product, that it doesn't look like anything remotely like it used to be, like the original thing. The original thing, and it's lost the characteristics that makes it special, that people love it for. And that is why it was a big money maker. How far can you change that product to where people check out? People bring up NASCAR as a good example of that. Josh, you would probably know more about that than me because I don't follow it. But I've read about the economic repercussions of them changing what they did and trying to grow the fan base. And in doing so, they polarized the base.
there was a
and so
presumption.
what-
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my question for you guys is, where is the cliff that they do change it too much, that the base starts saying, no more. I will not watch this anymore. And not the whole, the Twitter rant.
Right.
I'm never watching the NFL again because this player said this. Like, get out of here. You're going to be
Neat.
watching in 2 weeks.
How else you're going to
Or
have
you'll-
Twitter tweets to farm?
Right, exactly. Not that, but like actually like check out. No, I used to be a huge college football fan. Yeah, like I might watch I might watch, if you're a Florida Gator, maybe I'll watch the Gators sometimes, but I've just kind of lost my passion for it. Like where's the cliff? Because in my mind, I think we could be 10 years away from a cliff. Because it's further down the road than you think.
Right.
Because it all flows downstream. But that's my question for you guys.
For me, it's if the Big Ten and SEC do exactly what I think they're going to do. Again, like you said, Johnny, in like maybe a decade. because this is a 6-year, not that they couldn't go back on this, but this is a 6-year kind of extension of ESPN, college football playoff, Big Ten, SEC, kind of all running the show.
Right.
Like, because think about it. Like, obviously, I'm a diehard Ohio State fan, so like that, I'm never not rooting for Ohio State. But if, let's say, I was not an Ohio State fan, let's say I'm a Clemson fan, why would I watch the Big Ten other than just love of football? Why would I watch the Big Ten and SEC if it's just minor league football? Because that's what it is at that point. Like, you're never going to get rid of the pageantry of college football. When the Big Ten and SEC do their own thing, Script Ohio isn't just going away. You know what I mean? They're still going to be playing Hang on Sloopy. Right. They're still going to be playing football in these venues that have been, we've been playing football for hundreds of years, right? That's not going away. So that you're never going to fully kill the charm of college football. But when you just basically split your league into two, and the top league becomes basically a minor league essentially, it's basically minor league to the NFL, and then everyone else is just kind of left behind. But then there's also still a massive gap between the ACC and the Big 12 and the Group of Five. Like, I don't even like. It's hard for me to even think about if I'm just a general college football fan. Like, how am I justifying I'm going to justify it by saying, hey, I like football. I'm going to watch 3 leagues at once. But you're watching 3 leagues at once. Like, where's your attention? How is a media person going to grab your attention when everyone's basically doing their own thing?
Right. And it could be 3 different streaming platforms too.
Oh boy.
3 additional streaming platforms.
Yep.
Because they're going to want exclusivity. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Josh,
right.
What are your
Josh.
thoughts?
We had talked about this a year or 2 ago at this point, or maybe last week. Time doesn't mean anything anymore. All I know is that I do 5 things per week.
That's right. No more.
No more. The way that the Big Ten and the SEC, and specifically 2 or 3 schools in each, but still generally the conferences, the ones that are bringing that money in, have a lot of presumption when it comes to what power they want to have for the game that they believe they're bringing the primary money in. And by that, I mean, we talked a little bit ago, back when the NCAA was going through another thing where it was dumb and either didn't legislate or did, and it was 6 months too late, or didn't do enough. Any one of those things, probably all 3. And we're like, well, at what point does, do like the top 25 teams from across the country form basically their own NFLG league?
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes, this is I would say the cliff is what we're about to see. If it's 16 teams, 8 of them are from 2 conferences, and the way at a minimum, exactly. And I would say this, if NIL and the portal continue to be the same amount of unregulation that they are, what you'll see is, unfortunately, the market will determine that this issue will solve itself, and that people are going to use Clemson, Florida State on down years. On the Big Ten side, let's just say they're going to use Purdue, Maryland, Rutgers, Illinois as basically the feeder schools. And then after a year of figuring out, oh, these guys are good, immediately transfer to one of the big schools, if the big schools will have them. And you're back stuck on rebuilding with other players, which again, no one's going to be really motivated to build long-term teams with. And that's if NIL and if transfer portal keep up with the same assumptions they have been going with. I don't believe that, but I believe the cliff lies with that style of regulation.
Yeah.
If there is no motivation to stay loyal to a team outside of your own the goodness of your own heart, if there is no other than altruism, no real reason to stay with your team, you will 100% see basically a mini version of what AAA does for the MLB, where they will pull someone up into from the G League or from a AAA team, and when they're bad, they'll get sent down. It'll become a looser version of promotion and relegation, and it's going to be a little bit more permanent. And I think once that, if everything stays the same, the current system is the cliff. I would say the cliff is here and now.
Well,
do I think the cliff is going to remain? I don't believe so. But I will say, in my mind, this is my cliff.
Sure.
Where I'm like, if it's clear, I love watching like Maction. I love watching some of the smaller teams play, even within the bigger conferences. I really enjoy that. I love watching teams go on runs and have legitimate shots. And I understand that coming from Columbus, having an Ohio State fandom, have been and will continue to be a little spoiled in this instance. Except once it becomes clear that only 8 to 10 teams are ever going to win, that's going to lose its luster, because then the quality of those other teams that I enjoy watching will almost necessarily decrease, because anybody good is going to start funneling. It's going to be this
conveyor belt. It's a conveyor belt.
The wealth of talent is going to get concentrated into the 1% of teams. You can edit that out.
Well, Josh, and to your point too, talking about like these quote unquote, well, they are, but quote unquote bottom Big Ten teams. The reality or SEC teams, the reality for them is also reportedly they're basically, each school in the Big Ten SEC will make 3 times what they're making now. Meaning that before, Mr. really good wide receiver on Illinois, he's going to have a chance at Ohio State. He may not even care to go there because he's making all the money he needs at Illinois. So,
but he's certainly not going to go to Baylor.
Right.
He won't. He won't go to Baylor.
He'll stay in the system.
Yeah. Short of like really wanting to, to like playing time or something like that. But you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're going to be making significantly less money. Like there's just to your point though, like the college football fan has already put up with a lot the last 20 years.
Yes.
A lot of changes that they did not ask for. That's one thing also that none of these, and it's not the writer's fault. They're just sharing the news and what's happening. But read any of these articles or watch any of these videos. Are the fans mentioned once? Are the players even really mentioned outside of issues with transfer portal and NIL? I mean, more of an opinion. Do the players want this? Do the fans want this? Nobody's asking them. I think that's always my biggest frustration. It's totally out of our hands. And if you ask just about anyone, no one wants this. The only people who might want this are NFL fans that are like, oh, maybe I'll watch college football if you do that.
If it's more like the product I like.
Right, exactly. Then you're not different anymore. You're destroying the fabric of who you are as a school. And you're right, Aaron, like I'm not going to stop watching Ohio State because of it. But it might kill my joy a little bit in watching some of the other teams.
Oh yeah.
I don't know for a fact. But and again, we're Buckeye fans, so like you would think we'd almost be gloating like,
no,
like we made it. And it's like, no, this is terrible. It is horrible for the sport. I love TCU's run a few years ago. That was amazing for the sport. I love Illinois going 10-3 this year. Amazing, wonderful. Stories out of Colorado. How polarizing Dion is. Great for the sport. Awesome. This sport is great when it's regional and you can have a breadth of stories.
Yes.
A breadth of stories to where we don't have to talk about college football like they talk about the NFL, where they're stuffing Aaron Rodgers and the Dallas Cowboys down our throat every morning talk show. Thankfully, not every morning talk show actually does just talk about Ohio State and Georgia. They talk coast to coast.
Yes.
I want to keep that. I'm a Buckeye fan. I don't want them talking about Ohio State all the time. I don't.
Yep.
I don't want that. I love college football even more than I think I love the Buckeyes. And it's sad. It's sad to see people who don't love the sport at the wheel. And I think we all agree they are steering towards a cliff. We might not see the same cliff right now, but I agree with you guys. Like, we need some real governance, and I don't want to see those two schools just rip apart the other conferences, take whatever they still see as valuable, and leave. Yeah, I don't see that as good for the sport in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, we'll discuss this a little bit more as we learn more, and probably much closer to college football season. But because the news broke basically while Josh and I were recording last week, we thought we'd bring it up this week. I will say there will be a couple positives that come from this. More silver lining, I think, to an overall bad idea. One of them, though, could be less college football playoff committee interaction, because if the system is where you are just strictly taking the top 4 teams in this conference, the top 2 in this one, well, that plays itself out just in the regular season. So that could make some of these conference races better, or at least that will be what people pay attention to more so than like, oh, committee is not watching football, which granted, that's what we say a lot. So I'm kind of making fun of us, but it may help steer this conversation away from the playoff, but that seems to be all that we can talk about, or at least all the main media. So I know that was a long rant, but there you have it. You kind of knew what you were probably getting yourself into when you saw the title of this episode.
Sometimes the guys make picks based on their vast knowledge of sports. Sometimes they make picks based on vibes.
After much soul searching, after looking at a map, I have come to the conclusion.
Okay.
It's the Cavs. The Cavs. My Cavs, Josh. That's who you have, right?
It's the Cavs. It's the Cavs over the Nuggets. Yes, you got me.
Either way, they're probably going to be wrong. It's time for Picks of the Week.
Oh, yes, it is. And Josh has his globe/map ready. The Cavs are playing well.
To go.
The Cavs
They
I'm
are.
just gonna go ahead and pre-lock the Cavs.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the
something.
Nuggets
I
lost
didn't
to the
say-
Lakers.
Yes.
I need them to keep dropping. Or
Well,
I'll
they had
drop.
won 7 in a row prior to that, had the Nuggets.
Yeah.
The Cavs committed war crimes against the New York Knicks, so good for Cleveland there. Yeah. Well, Josh has his map, so that means it must be time for some picks. Guys, some exciting for me news on the current scoreboard. We had a lot happen last week. Unfortunately, one of those things that happened, one of the 5 things that happened last week, was that Canada did in fact win the Four Nations face-off. That was a bummer in overtime, but you kind of saw it coming a little bit just based on how the first game went, some of the injuries that were at play for the United States. So both teams won on the road, which was pretty wild. Overall, the real winner is hockey, the NHL and us hockey fans. The Four Nations face-off was incredible, genius. And obviously, most of the credit has to go to not only the people that put this tournament together, but just hockey players being absolutely psychotic. Just wearing their uniform for their country and just being willing to skate through a wall, just hit everybody, fight, just play, break things, just like hockey players do. So shout out hockey players, because you guys made this tournament unbelievable. I will say, Johnny, I don't know how you felt. I watched the Blue Jackets, their first game back. They played Chicago.
Yeah.
And I turned it on. I'm excited to watch the Blue Jackets. I'm pumped up. Zach Werenski back in the CBJ uniform after having
2
the
goals.
most points on Team USA. Had a great game. But I'm sitting there watching the first 5 minutes of this game, and I'm like, oh, man. The Four Nations was good hockey. Not that this is bad hockey, but I don't know if you could tell it live because you were there.
It looked like a pace difference. Like
Yeah.
it was just slower.
Yeah.
And again, we're not saying NHL players are slow.
No, not at all.
It was just you took the best players in the world basically and put them on the ice together. So
Oh, man.
and the players themselves said they'd never played faster hockey. So yeah.
It was like I was watching the
noticeable in person too.
Yeah, it was like watching a YouTube video on 0.8 speed accidentally. That's what it was like. speaking of hockey, we're not picking it. I thought about it, but I've got my Blue Jackets shirt on. Johnny and I will be in attendance in the shoe on Saturday for the first outdoor game in Columbus Blue Jackets history. So we will let you know from our very, very distant C-deck seats how it goes. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I got sidetracked because we also picked the TGL matchup between the Bay Golf Club and Boston, and Bay came through 5-4. Wyndham Clark's Eagle keeps Bay Golf Club undefeated 3-0-0. So sorry, Josh, you had a really good strategy for what's pick as you try to
Yeah,
find
I
Boston
picked the
on the
wrong.
globe.
Yeah, the coast here. There looks like there's better stuff on this side. So that was my bad.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't look at this
all
last
good.
week.
Honest mistake. So after the dust settles, I actually have 6 points. Josh and Johnny have 5 points. But there's even better news than that. Because after Josh and I recorded the show, Josh had an epiphany. The first few episodes, we have struggled to find what the winner of Picks of the Week should win. Season 1.
I thought we decided.
Well, we had some bad ideas, Johnny.
You had decided it.
Yes.
And we have been desperately trying to find a reasonable alternative.
Right.
I thought we were going
we
to
are
the
not
fourth
gonna
most violent Waffle House in the country.
In the fourth
In
most-
Birmingham, Alabama,
in
specifically.
the fourth most violent
Yes.
city. Yes.
Oh, it's
So
the fourth
I
most
have-
violent city. I thought it was the fourth most violent Waffle
Well,
House.
it might be that too.
Now I did my best to kind of figure out a good like 3.2 star rated Waffle House in or around the Birmingham metro area.
There
And I
isn't
have one
It's-
ready. I have one in my
Oh.
Google Maps list ready to go. And Aaron and I, when you were gone and dead, we were like, well, this really
Here's your
is only
chance.
funny in the hypothetical.
Mhm.
In reality, we're not sending one of us.
Yeah. Actually
know.
dead, not good.
And
I'd
we
go.
realized this is actually what could be some of the worst radio we've done.
Which is saying something.
However-
Or actually, I think it'd be amazing radio.
Yeah, the
maybe.
Vice documentary that comes out of the fallout will be incredible. But
Right.
so I had remembered I had seen something on TikTok.
Boy, did you.
Boy, did I. I found a beautiful trophy. This trophy is, in fact, a star that looked like when you made stars on like a piece of craft paper in kindergarten or preschool. And you you would kind of cut it out. It's like, oh, it's Christmas time. Make a star for the top of the tree. And it's like this really saggy. It almost looks like a Patrick star, like kind of saggy, almost looks like deflated. And then it's like this really ugly yellow. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does say, and I believe it's like accidentally like too many spaces, like when you put
Yes.
something in on like a title page.
Yes.
And it does say "Your did it."
It's so good. Your did it. Your did it.
Already purchased. It is
Yep.
going to be what one of us wins.
Yes. Yes.
This is what is now motivating Aaron and I.
Apparently, I got 2
We were
points
not
this week.
motivated. Yeah, we were not motivated.
I'm not
by
as
potentially
motivated now.
going
I
to
wanted one.
spending the night. See,
Johnny, there's nothing precluding you from going to Birmingham yourself.
I'm finally gonna lose this season because I'm not as motivated for the prize.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, if you win, we'll give you this trophy, and then you can just take it to Waffle House in Birmingham and give it to your favorite employee you find it.
I think I will.
All right,
think
good.
I will.
Good.
this employee. Hey,
After I do the Nugget challenge and
Oh my
almost
gosh.
die when Denver's playing Cleveland in the finals.
please do not Nugget challenge, then Waffle House challenge yourself.
Oh gosh.
This is
And
not.
the crazy thing is, no one's making you do either one of these
No
things.
one- we have in fact tried our best
Right.
to subtly but clearly dissuade you.
It's okay. LeBron and Luca, Lakers and Cavs now. Like that's my dream finals. Will be amazing.
It's, and I'm not even saying like this will be the same day, the same calendar year. This is what we would potentially be looking at. I cannot have you be in a body that has to mentally prepare for both of these things.
Well, if
So
the
we
Lakers make
could.
it, I don't have to. I don't have to.
I would again argue you don't have to at all. But
There's actually, Johnny, you're going to love this. There's actually so many scenarios in which this doesn't happen.
like Johnny, I would
Oh, I
tell
know.
you that you have free will, but it's exactly because you have free will that you're doing this. So that's
There
not a
are
helpful
exactly.
argument.
There are, in fact, shorter ways for this not to happen. The easiest one is right now going, mm-mm.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Remember, Johnny, when we were, and if this has not made it to Johnny's parents, I'm sorry you're listening to this now.
I'm
You remember
sure it
freshman
has.
year when we were riding in my car? My car has a sunroof, and you were like, hey, we were at speed. We were like 50 miles an hour or whatever on a road, and you're like, hey, can I stand up out of the sunroof while we're driving at night? And Aaron and I both said, no, you may not. I'm not saying that this is the same situation. I am saying the sunroof is starting to open, and I've noticed your eyes looking up.
oh, wow. I don't even know. Did we just end the show here?
Yeah.
That's it. All right, listeners,
I
get out
gotta
of here.
pick. I gotta pick my favorite.
All right, we will actually pick something. Guys, the MLS started. Woo! Started on Saturday, the Columbus Crew in a wild game where the Chicago Fire thankfully handed them multiple goals in this game. They did defeat the Chicago Fire 4-2. So go Crew. I don't know what else happened because that's the only game I watched. We are going to pick some. Actually, I take that back. I do know that FC Cincinnati beat the New York Red Bulls 1-0. That's relevant because we are picking FC Cincinnati at the Philadelphia Union. I don't know if the Union are good. I don't care because they're not the Crew. We're also picking the Atlantic Sun Tournament. Now, the bracket's not out until Wednesday night. You know, if you've been following this show for any length of time, the best place to go for conference tournaments, well, that too, conference tournament brackets is fifthandgoalsports.com. We're going to have brackets for every single 31 conference tournaments. They're all nicely arranged. They're printable if you still have a printer, or you can load it up on your phone, your laptop, whatever you want. They're there. Use them however you want. There's the whole schedule. It's all there. We love it. That's one of my favorite things about March Madness, almost more than the NCAA tournament, which is probably a crime in like 47 states. But anyways, so that's happening. Again, the actual seeding is not totally cemented yet until Wednesday. We'll have the full bracket, but we do know the top 8 seeds that will at least be participating. The standings are out there. So, guys, I'll start. I do have the Union. I'm going to say they get the win at home. Actually, I guess there could be a draw. That's dumb. Ties are stupid. The Union win at home, probably as underdogs, which Johnny's probably going to say that this is dumb. Their whole team's injured. He's probably about to burst my bubble. I'm saying the Union are winning this game. I'm also going with North Alabama to win the Atlantic Sun. Now, they've got one of the best records. They're tied for first last I looked in the Atlantic Sun. So I'm sort of champion chasing here. But what really drew my eye is not only that this team is relatively new to Division I and has never been to the NCAA tournament, so that's fun, but they had the best home record in the Atlantic Sun. That's relevant because every single game in this tournament is played at the higher seeded team. So North Alabama has the potential to be the host team every single game they play. And I like their chances. They only have one home loss this year. So I'm going with North Alabama. They are the Lions, and I'm going with the Philadelphia Union.
The soccer that is played by FC Cincinnati is secondary to the fact that their airport is in Kentucky. So I am picking Philly because at least they have the bravery to keep their airport. I'm going to check this real quick. I'm 90% certain that
Yeah,
the
make sure
Philadelphia
that
airport
airport
is
ain't
actually
in New
PA.
Jersey or Delaware.
The big one. All right, PHL. PHL is in. Yep, it is in Philly.
All right, good.
Just wanted to make sure. But you know what? They have the bravery not to dump it off into Jersey or Delaware. All right, they own their transportation means. All right, they stand for something, and out of respect for that, We're going Philly.
Okay.
Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm assuming it's the same like slogan for
Every team, yes.
Oh, and then let me pull up a bracket real quick. Stetson. Oh, that's a strong. That's a strong.
Oh, they won.
Hatters.
They won it last
Stetson.
year.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Look at that.
7 and 22 overall. Love it, Josh.
Woo!
It's written though. It's done.
Yep. It's in the show notes, everyone. It's official.
It's in the
Now,
show
they were a
notes. It's
low seed last year and won it. So, Josh, you're just expecting a repeat. I respect it.
Oh, you know what I did?
Looked at last year's standings.
You looked at the women's.
Look at the 2024 bracket. It's okay.
Oh, yeah, where they won it.
I clicked.
Well, because
Josh
the
is
bracket's
like, I'm
not out
seeing the
yet. So, you
future.
definitely clicked on last year's bracket.
I did click on last year's.
Yeah. That's okay. I like the pick, Josh.
I've already
Good
typed
pick.
it in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's over.
I'm going with the Cinderella story. I'm gonna get Disney
Oh
on the
my
phone.
goodness.
They're gonna want the rights for this movie.
That's right.
The Hatters, man. So I'm picking Cincy. No surprise. I'm picking opposite of Josh and Aaron in soccer. Philly
'Cause we're
actually
stupid.
was super injured last year. Like it was one of the worst years they've had in recent memory. I do expect to bounce back. They won their first game against Orlando 4-2. Easily could beat Cincy. Cincy's still trying to figure out their offense, much as they were last year. But despite my dislike for Cincinnati as a Crew fan, I thought their trade for Evander from Portland was really brilliant. They actually replaced their star player, unlike the Crew. So I think they are just the better team overall. Doesn't mean you win early in the season, as they're trying to obviously get that chemistry going. That trade was fairly recently, like right before the trade deadline. So wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, honestly, but I'll go Cincy. And then I'm going with an old favorite for the ASUN in Florida Gulf Coast. Gotta love Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast. Also, Aaron mentioned, their top overall seed gets to host. They're only a game back. Currently, they'd be in fourth place, but it's a very tight race for seeding there at the finish. So there's a variety of teams. I don't know all the tiebreakers or anything, but Florida Gulf Coast could rise still from that fourth seed place as well. So I'll go with the Eagles.
Johnny, this is how much of a nerd I am, because when you say home games in Florida Gulf Coast, I'm like, oh yeah, Alico Arena. Like I just know that. What is wrong with me?
Ooh,
Send.
congratulations! I feel like that's
Do not
like
send
the
help.
30
Do
that's
not
like-
send help.
That's like a third. That's the third level, like 4-alarm fire sicko.
Oh,
Yeah.
also hats off to San Diego. Inaugural game in MLS.
Oh, yeah.
They beat the defending champs,
Yep.
LA Galaxy, 2-0. So what a start. Maybe
Take
they'll
that,
have
Will Ferrell.
maybe they'll have an amazing season. Well, Will Ferrell's at LAFC. But
But take it anyways.
Hey,
yeah, take it anyway.
take it. I'm assuming.
maybe San
Congratulations
Diego
on the
will
SNL
have
50, but take it.
Right.
Amazing first year, like St. Louis did a couple years ago when they finished top seed in the West. Like, who knows? Very early, but it's fun to see an expansion team do well right out of the gates and create a little noise.
The guys spent hours scrolling social media, and they found some pretty dumb stuff. Now they want to talk to you about it.
The real ones know that we would call it ooey pooey.
Ooey pooey.
R.I.P. to ooey pooey.
Ooey pooey's the
Got you.
answer.
I didn't even need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never
done.
mind.
Good luck. It's time for What We're Following.
Now, we love to joke on this show about ooey pooey, and we probably still will, but there's actually an intentional reason why I played that specific bumper. Thankfully, they're now called IU Indy. Thankfully, the basketball team, the men's basketball team, is okay. They had a bus fire. They all had to leave the bus. They were playing, I can't remember which Horizon League team they were playing, but they had to evacuate the bus. They all made it out safe.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, all of the team gear and like some of the players' wallets and phones, just like the whole bus disintegrated. It was insane. So, IU Indy, I'm sorry that happened, but I am very, very thankful that everyone got out okay. because wow, scary situation there. So maybe I will now. It's you should still be called Ooey Pooey, but I legitimately am glad you guys are all safe. So yikes, that's crazy. That's tough to transition from that, but here we go, guys. I've got some bad NFL trivia. Actually, it may not be that bad. Here's the deal with this round of bad trivia. You guys decide how bad it is based on how many answers correct you get. So here's what I would recommend to you both, because I would recommend going on ESPN or whatever source you want and just looking up so you have all 32 NFL teams in front of you.
Okay.
And what I'm going to ask you is, can you name each team's last 4,000-yard passer? Some are super obvious. So you can just pick a team. If you think you know their last 4,000-yard passer, just spit it out. I want to see how many you guys can get in just a couple minutes. So whatever team you want. Now, some of these are really difficult, but I've got it in front of me.
The last 4,000.
Yes.
Not
now,
the
some of
most
those
passing
happened
yards,
this
just the
year.
last.
So
Right.
some easy answers could be this year, but feel free to just pick whatever team you think's got a 4,000-yard passer and let me know. We'll see how many we can knock out. And listeners, you can do this at home. You can just scream at us through your phone or whatever device you're listening on.
Without Googling it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no cheating. Yeah. I'm glad you said something, Johnny, because everyone was for sure cheating. They were
Yeah,
definitely
they're all
going to cheat.
cheating.
Yeah, cheaters.
Okay, so Josh Allen for the Bills.
Yep.
Dak Prescott for the Cowboys.
Yep.
I don't think Cooper Rush threw for 4,000 yards.
Hey, you don't know that. Actually, you definitely do
Others
because he
most
did.
likely will be. I'm hoping.
I
Ben.
don't
Oh,
think
that's-
Daniel Jones ever threw for 4,000 yards. So I'm going to say Eli Manning
Yeah, good pull.
for the Giants.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely Jalen Hurts for the Eagles. Jaden Dan.
No, not Jalen Hurts.
He's never thrown for 4,000. Really? Oh, that is surprising. I thought he would
would
have
it
gotten.
be-
Wait, are we
wait, was
including
it-
playoffs? Is this
No.
regular season or
This is
playoffs
regular season.
included?
Oh,
Oh,
would it
okay.
be-
Okay, interesting.
Vic didn't have a 4,000-yard season, did he?
Wait, hold on.
I
now.
don't think he would have with the
Don't
Eagles,
think
but
so.
he was not the most. If he did,
He
he's
wouldn't have
not the
been the
most
last
recent.
one. It
that-
would have been-
That's not the guy it would have been. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I don't know if Foles played enough games. So Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Carson Wentz is the
Oh,
last
man.
4,000-yard
Okay.
passer for the Eagles. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I would have. I know Jalen doesn't throw a ton of passes, but that's
Yeah.
surprising.
I'm
he hasn't
guessing
got
he's
the
been close a
4,000
couple times. I'll have to
extra
look that
games.
up. But
Yeah. I know they're a run first team, and then obviously Jaden Daniels with the Commanders this year.
no.
Oh.
He didn't get to 2,000.
no.
4,000.
Was he at like? I mean, that's what I meant. He didn't
Yeah.
get to 4,000. What did he throw? Like 3,900.
Let me look. While I'm looking,
Okay,
Josh,
well,
you want to just knock
Josh.
out the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, Ben, please.
Yeah. That's correct.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
Nice. And
Um,
then Terry Bradshaw. And
Okay,
then
that's surprising.
let's see. What did Jaden Daniels get up to? Okay, 3,568 this year.
Oh, close.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not bad.
He
That'll
just
work.
was really good at running the ball too. So I mean, total
Yeah.
yards. I'm guessing he probably made it there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All
Yeah.
right. Well, I'll skip and come back
Okay.
because we'll knock out the easier one.
yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. I'm assuming Tua last
Yes.
year had a 4,000.
I don't know about
Yeah.
not last year, but
Oh,
he
not
is the
last year,
last.
2
He is
years
the
ago.
last
Yes.
Dolphin.
Yeah,
Yes.
not last year.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow, obviously
Burrow.
for the Bengals.
Mhm.
Packers would be. I don't know if Jordan Love did. I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers.
It is Jordan Love.
Jordan
Oh,
Love.
it is. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Love threw for more than. Okay. Wow. That is surprising.
Oh, would Broncos? Oh, I don't know if he had a 4,000-yard season though. Would Broncos? I'm assuming not Russell Wilson.
No, where are the Broncos?
Was it-
I don't
No,
even.
Broncos.
I'm trying to find the
would be
Broncos.
Peyton.
Yeah, Broncos would be
It'd
Peyton
be
Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. That's what I
It'd
was
be Peyton
assuming.
Manning. Texans Stroud threw for 4,000 yards his rookie year, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Okay. So there's Matt Ryan with the Falcons.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cam Newton with the Panthers.
Yep.
Saints would be Drew Brees.
Yep.
Chiefs Mahomes.
Yeah.
We just waited on that one for some reason. Chargers is Herbert.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Seahawks Ooh, I'm gonna say Russell still.
Where are they?
Did Gino?
I don't think Gino.
I don't think
it
Gino
is
ever
Gino,
does
thrown
Josh.
for 4,000.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
ha!
Gino.
He did throw for 4,000. Does it say like how many he threw that year? He got
let me look. Trying to type
just
in
curious.
on Pro Football Reference as fast as I can.
Yeah.
I was not prepared with like actual numbers, so it is.
Yeah,
folks,
sorry.
we're back. This year, guys, he threw for 4,320 yards.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for Gino. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm underestimating that man.
Now he did throw 15
Okay.
picks, but that's because they were probably asking him to just throw his arm off. So
Yeah, too many times for Gino. That's
Mm-hmm.
too much. The Raiders. Who's the last one for the Raiders? Oh my goodness.
Oh,
it's a little bit more obvious than you
Well-
think.
is it Derek Carr?
Yeah, it's Derek Carr.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Rams is obviously Stafford.
Well, let me go through
Jets.
at this point, you guys have so many. Josh, go for the Jets. Try.
Sanchez?
You would think, but no.
No, it's not. He definitely did not, and Rodgers definitely has not.
And will not,
for
reportedly.
Gino did not as a Jet. Sam Darnold did not.
We can't Google. What?
I'll help you guys out because you guys are gonna.
How long ago is this?
Yeah.
Like 50 years?
Are we alive?
No, we were not alive.
It's not Joe Namath.
It is Joe Namath.
I was trying to give them more credit than that.
Now,
the Jets aren't a real.
Oh my!
in a similar
gosh.
vein, Chicago Bears.
Gannon.
Joe Namath.
It might as well be. No. The answer: never. Nobody. No one
Oh,
is.
that's right.
Yeah, that's a
that's
classic
right.
stat. Yep.
Don't need it.
Yeah,
Don't need it.
that's right. I don't know why I
And you got Ditka. Why you got to throw for 4,000 yards?
That's right.
have the Browns. Is it Baker?
No,
Like,
it's not.
is it Hoyer?
Nope. This is one that I like. This is probably me showing that I don't know.
Garcia.
No, this
it
is
Garcia?
Brian Sipe, which apparently is
What?
according to Twitter comments, is a well-known name, but too old for us. The
No,
only things,
it's not a well-known name.
the only names you,
It's not.
the only teams I think you didn't guess, like Vikings, Sam Darnold this year, Jared Goff, Lions.
Oh yeah, sure.
Some of them are like obviously easy. How about the Cardinals?
Oh, don't do this to me.
Your guy, Johnny.
Well, it's not Kyler.
Nope.
My guy.
Your guy. He played there for like 2 years.
I was gonna say Kurt Warner, but it's
Well-
not. It's Carson Palmer.
Yeah, it is.
Basically, that you
Hey.
saying it's my guy.
Yeah.
Wow. It's his first year because I think his second year was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it was only 2 years. I may be way off on that. All right. Everything
Well,
else.
it's
like-
only like 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
Tampa Baker's thrown for 4,000.
Yeah, I think
right?
Josh got that one.
Yeah.
You guys named. I think the only.
the Colts. We didn't say the Colts.
You
or
did not say the
Jags.
Colts.
Or did we even say the Titans? We skipped
The
AFC
Titans.
South.
The
hold on,
Titans
I
is
gotta go
kind
back.
of. Yeah. Let me put it. I don't know if this will help.
Is it the Oilers?
Yes.
Is it McNair?
It's not McNair,
Because it's the Oilers.
but it is.
Oh,
yes, it is that
gosh.
era. Yeah.
It's not even fair. That
Correct.
history should go to the Texans.
Mhm.
I have no idea. You're gonna Warren Moon.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Good job. The Washington.
Jags.
The Jags is
Garrard.
great pull. It's
Is
just
it
Trevor
not?
Lawrence. But that's a great pull. That's a great pull. You guys got literally everything on this list except for
Colts.
Washington and the Colts. Yes, Colts and Washington.
Well, did we
Colts,
even guess the Colts yet?
Colts would
don't think
have
so.
been.
Oh, it has to be
remember-
Andrew Luck.
I think it's Luck because I'm trying
There
to think
was
of anybody
someone
who's
more recent than Andrew Luck.
more recent. Who
Oh,
was
Philip
more-
Rivers.
Yes.
What? He threw for 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's 4,000
man.
kids, 4,000 yards. Washington.
Wow.
Yep. That Washington is the last team.
Okay, Washington.
I'm very impressed overall, though. This is you guys are killing this.
Is it? It's not Joe Theismann, is it?
No,
It's not
no, it's
that
more-
far
more-
back.
no.
Okay.
Is it?
I'm
I'm
like,
trying to remember. It's not RG3.
gosh,
Is it?
please tell me.
Would you say, Josh?
Is it RG3?
He did throw for
Ju-
4,000 yards.
just after him.
Oh, okay.
Josh, you're really gonna
Oh, Kirk
like
Cousins-
this
Kirk
answer.
Cousins. It's
yeah.
Kirk.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is Kirko. So there you go. All 32 and Joe Namath. That's insane. Jets. That is worse than not having anybody.
Is it though?
Well, no, it's not. He won a Super Bowl. What am I saying?
The Bears is worse.
Yeah,
the Bears
it's
is
worse.
definitely worse.
Yeah. Well,
Bears,
anyways, that's bad football
please.
trivia, gentlemen. Well done. Well done.
Get it together, Bears. Mm-hmm. By the way, we will have mock drafts coming shortly once we get to the month of March.
Amen.
Guys, I want to introduce you to Justin. Justin is a man. He lives at a house. His house has a yard. His yard has a tree. This tree has died. He now has a stump.
Oh.
He wants to remove the stump. However, it's pretty big. Justin thinks to himself back roughly in November, late November or December, well, I could try and get a chainsaw or something to try and rip out the most of the stump, try and get a pickup truck to yank it out. But again, that's dangerous. You've seen videos on TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever. It doesn't work out. So Justin thinks to himself, he says, what if I just burned this stump, set the stump on fire, basically let it kind of petrify a little bit? Maybe it'll weaken the system, the root system, enough to where I can just kind of yank it out a little bit more easily. As of 3 hours ago,
Oh, this is live.
the stump is still on fire.
Oh.
Furthermore, the fire has spread to the root system. Trees, especially big trees, are known for having very good root systems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you grew up in the Rust Belt, like the three of us did, you're aware of a town in Pennsylvania called Centralia. Centralia was a mining town. I say was because someone accidentally set a fire in the mine. Nobody knows exactly when, but it got real bad during the 50s. And now only 3 people live in the area because there is a current active underground mine fire that Centralia, Pennsylvania has just had to deal with.
New
Now,
band name. I call it Underground Mine Fire. That's insane.
Underground mine fire.
Yeah.
Underground mine fire.
That's an
great.
amazing band name.
Yep.
Write that down, Aaron.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm,
lose
I'm
weight.
adding that to the list right
Man,
now.
that punk band is insane.
Yeah.
I think it should be a jazz band.
That's at least implying some kind of rock. I feel like the word
Just to
fire
throw you
alone.
off.
We're great. Yeah.
Just to throw you off.
Well, that's true.
Very very transgressive jazz. Really anti-jazz jazz. Now, so rock. The we're back to Justin 3 hours ago. He now is giving a daily Roots Fire update. He has reported multiple times that his lawn feels hot. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been the winter.
Uh-oh.
His ground, his yard feels hot.
Oh, no.
He killed everything. He killed everything. They're all dead. It's all dead.
The grass, as you can see in this,
Oh.
is still alive.
Oh, that man needed to cut more of that stump. So much of that could have been cut.
It's a lot more stump than I may have
That's
led
way
you guys
more
to
stump.
believe. It is like 4 feet. It's like 3 feet of stump that he could have taken another stab at. But again, why
Absolutely.
would you, at the point where you realize I would like to set this stump on fire? I'm going to be honest with you, Johnny. The chainsaw is not looking that cool to me if next to chainsaw is flamethrower.
True. Chainsaw's a lot
So-
more work.
This is something it can't be a chess heads because it's not a sport. But this is something that I have bookmarked. I am following Justin. I will keep you guys updated as he keeps me updated on what he calls the daily Root Fire update.
Josh, how long has this been going on now?
Let me
Do we have a
check.
day total?
I do have a day total for you. Let's see here. He would have done this. Root fire is out of control. Oh, it was getting worse a little bit. This is 14. This is not great radio, but this is what it was doing 4 days ago. So it's like it
Wow.
gets worse and then better and then worse. He would have started this. DIY how to remove tree stump with cooking oil. He did a DIY video on this.
Oh, great. That way more people can
November.
do this.
November 19th. So you're going to ask yourself, well, how many days from November 19th is it? Well, I'm going to tell you real quick. 99 days.
Oh, big day coming up tomorrow.
So tomorrow,
Woo!
we are going to celebrate the big 100
Yep.
of Root Fire. He does live in a neighborhood, by the way. There are houses around him. There's a chance that other houses could accidentally, catch on fire.
Oh, gosh.
Either them or their yards or their things. Because, again, there is an underground fire going on right now that is spreading to all the roots and cannot be contained. The fire department has said, how would you just keep your yard as wet as possible? And he has been doing so. And it seems to sometimes help, but not always. And it is Alabama, so it's only going to get warmer.
Why don't they
Oh,
try to
man.
rip the stump out now, though? Like, would that help? Or, like, would that just make the fire worse? I don't know.
It's
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Again, Johnny, you're using words and ideologies and methods that really go, forgive the pun, on the back burner when Lighted on Fire is in the forefront. There's lots
The
of
firemen
want to
see what happened just
The
as
firemen
badly
are now
as this
going
guy.
the
They
Netflix
wanna see
documentary
what
that this is going to make is fantastic. So I'm trying to get as much data as possible to maximize my screen time.
At this point, they just want to find out. Everybody's just watching, taking bets on how many days it'll last.
Exactly.
I
And then
love
also,
that.
real quick, straight to jail. Everybody in the Mavs organization who decided to make
We're going to talk more about this in a moment.
a. Oh, wait. Did you put this on yours, Johnny?
Some of it, kind
A little
of.
bit. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I checked. I thought, yeah, we're good. The Mavs put out a video showcasing all of the great scorers that they have on their team and have historically had on their team, but it was really more the modern. And so it was this big, long music video. You have current players talking about their scoring runs, and it's interlaced with clips of fans doing stuff, chanting along to the song. And then in-game footage, video, so to speak, because it was video, of really cool shots, dunks, long three-pointers, all the good stuff that you guys like. Now, you might know, as a good listener of the podcast and an even better follower of news, that Luka Doncic is now a Laker. And that's a pretty recent development.
Oh.
We'd say around a month or so, give or take. The Mavs are, of course, aware of this.
Are they?
I actually think they are.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
one, Luka was notably not a part of this video anyway. Two, that's a lie. He was. For 1.5 seconds, probably 30 frame shots. And for these 30 frames, the video director, creative director of Mavs Entertainment LLC, said, some intern went to him and said, "Hey, boss, we still got Luka in here. You just want me to change to a different shot of one of our many basketballers who have made a shot in basketball without seeing Luka in the shot?" "Well, no, Johnny," says the creative director. "Just rotoscope his figure, remove it, so make it black. But boss, what about his head? I'm glad you asked, Johnny. Put a Mavs logo over his head and move it along with him for those 30
gosh.
less frames. Now you're going to
They
have to
totally
trust
wouldn't
me
notice.
on this. You're going. They're certainly not going to notice, are they, boss? No, you're correct, Johnny. They're not going to notice. Thank you for being in New York while I am here in Dallas. You're going to have to trust me on this because the video got deleted in under 24 hours. I tried to download it, but then Twitter said, no, you can't download it. You got to have Twitter Blue. Sorry, X Plus, whatever. And I said, no, thank you. So.
Oh, don't worry. Other people have it downloaded.
Definitely somewhere.
Don't worry. It's out there.
Have you ever heard of the Barbara Streisand effect? It's that thing where when you try to hide something, it just makes it to where everybody wants to see it all the more. Again, Aaron, what did we talk about with Johnny? You don't have to take the Nugget Challenge.
Right.
Dallas Mavericks Incorporated, LLC, whatever you guys are going by, because clearly not a sports team anymore.
No.
You didn't have to publish the video.
Right.
Eat the cost. Eat the production costs. Find another way to bring fans in. Here they are slashing, and I'm saying cutting by 2/3 the price of season tickets. They're like, hey, here's like a mid-season pick me up if you want to re-up your seats. And we're like, no, I don't want to. But yeah, they're dirt cheap now to get season tickets for some reason.
Huh.
You're not driving engagement.
I don't know why.
And so I think, and again, this is free advice for the Mavs. I'm really, the Mavs fans love exciting, dynamic shooters, really. There was this guy about a decade or so ago, give or take. His name was, what was his name? Dirk something. I don't know, Dirk something.
Yep.
He was Eastern European, but the fans really liked him. And I think a guy from that area, Soviet bloc, Adriatics area, if you could get another guy like that, but younger, I'd say maybe 24, 25, from maybe, I don't know, Lakers have a guy that might be open, just signed a contract, but I think he'd be open. You could try that. But really, that's the only thing going to drive engagement. Or you could make a really, really weird video
Right.
and then delete it when everyone really goes, hey, by the way, this is why we don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they're kicking people out of the stadium for saying fire Nico. That was 2 weeks ago. We didn't quite talk about it on the podcast.
Yep.
But we're talking about this, so I may as well just mention, hey, by the way, they are kicking people out. That objectively happened. I do have video.
Yes.
However, be aware, not everything you're seeing of what the Mavs organization is doing is true. Johnny, take it away. This is my segue.
Thank you, Josh. That's a perfect segue. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. If you make those decisions and those trades and stuff, you got to eat that.
Own it.
It's not like they're screaming at you and your family then obviously there's no place for that. But if they just have signs that say fire Nico, man, you should eat that. You're only making it worse by throwing people out, honestly. Let your fans vent. But speaking of not everything you see about the Mavs, can you trust it? I follow, this is one of my favorite, I guess you could call it a parody account on Twitter, but it's been one of the best ones on Twitter for a while, but specifically since this wild NBA trade deadline. And it's called NBA Central, not NBA Central, NBA Central. This reading comprehension literacy is valuable, kids. Make sure you are paying attention in school. You need to double check your sources because the number of people who we lovingly called have gotten centled is insane. So funny. Today,
just because they have a check mark does not mean they're verified.
Just today, Colin Cowherd got him and Rachel Nichols. How did they get so? Well, there was a story that NBA Central posted, and they, do a good job with their graphics and stuff to make it look real. And I even double take quite often. But the story was that they wouldn't let any Luka jerseys in the building in Dallas. They would kick you out. They wouldn't let you in. Like just a wild, but what Josh said was kind of made it feel real. They're like, hey, you can trade in the jersey if you want to, but no Luka jerseys allowed. It's completely false, not allowed to come in. And you had people like Colin Cowherd falling for it. Celebrities have fallen for it. He even posted when Luka got traded, he posted a fake Kim Kardashian comment on Lakers Instagram, saying that she wanted to learn Slovenian, and with a Luka response that says, please don't. And it has 558,000 likes. That many people got sentled. So I have absolutely been loving it. It's just a funny account that somehow everybody keeps falling for. He announced Joel Embiid's retirement earlier today.
Breaking news.
Yep. So I mean, he's not too far off with many of the posts, specifically with the Dallas Mavericks. He was actually, when I first saw the original Luka trade, I thought it was him tweeting. That's how far this has gone. I thought it was Sentinel tweeting. So it's a good time, man. It's a good time. So be careful what you're reading out there. Maybe give it a double, triple check where the source is coming from. Not everything on social media is real, but give our guy NBA Sentinel a follow. It's funny stuff.
Yep.
I need to amend to something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I am nothing if not trying to be accurate. Redid my research. The how-to video of how to remove your tree stump with nothing but cooking oil and fire and a leaf blower.
Cooking oil?
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, lighter fluid and cooking oil. Yeah, because you got to fuel it somehow, And then he carved a hole, basically a vent. Put a. I sent Aaron the video on TikTok. So
he made a bomb.
Well, no, he vented it out the top.
Yeah,
what he did
he made it underground.
Oh, so
he made a
he
mine.
made a mortar.
He
made a potential mortar.
Right.
That's what he made.
Right.
There we go. See, that's more intentional. Thank you, John. So he actually did it. He posted his first video November 16th, which means that as of today of this recording, we've made 100 days.
Yay!
Congratulations, everyone.
Wow, that's great. Well, your action statement this week, don't do that. Please don't. That's your action
Don't do
statement
anything
today.
with cooking oil.
Yeah.
Don't do anything other than not pouring it down your drain.
Yeah.
That's oh.
Yeah. All right, listeners.
Also, the tree stump, if you see it, it is honestly, it looks even more stable than it was. it looks even more pronounced.
It's a hardy stump.
If anything,
It's rugged. It's just
rugged.
Rugged.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's right. Listeners, if you made it through this episode, you too are stronger. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Look, there's college basketball that is picking up in a hurry. It will be March next time we record, so that's probably what we will be talking about. But honestly, if that stump's still on fire, might just have an hour of that. So
we're gonna do that's the Patreon Stump Watch.
Oh my gosh, that's how you get put on a list, is if you pay for a Patreon that does not exist just to hear us talk about a stump that's been on fire for 100 days. You just go straight to the loony bin.
Financial detail
Yeah.
To the police, and then it's a wellness check. It's not an arrest. It is
a wellness check on the stump.
No, on the person who's looking at it.
All right. I don't know how to end this, but
stream the stump. Stream the stump.
Goodbye.
That is the Patreon tier. Okay, please stop listening.
All right, goodbye.